Dragon Queen, Chapter 13, The Gardener. The light was so bright, Éowyn could barely open her eyes. When she managed to crack them open just enough to see before her, she was shocked to find her vision obscured by a web of tree branches and leaves. Her body felt very strange. It was as if she was as light as a feather and as intangible as mist, yet she still had substance to her. She yawned and blinked as if awakening from a very deep slumber, and looked around. It looked like she was in a small oval-shaped hole in a tree, but with branches growing over the opening. Éowyn glanced down at her body and gasped. It was red as before, but it wasn't the body of a dragon. Rather, it was that of a tiny fawn, made of red light. She would have felt panicked, yet somehow it felt right. She felt calm. The branches opened before her as if they were living things, and, as if by instinct, Éowyn hopped out. Her small hooves landed on the beautiful turquoise and green grass which acted as the floor to an enormous forest. White sparks of light danced through the air like fireflies, while canopies of leaves high above sent down drips of water to the ground below. She looked behind her to see a huge tree in the shape of a dragon that looked just like her. In its chest was the hole she had exited from, its wooden wings spread over her like a mother bird over a child. Willow-like leaves formed the membranes of the wings. The tree's soft bark seemed to call to Éowyn, asking her to come back into the tree and nestle within its branches. She wanted to, but there was something else calling her. Something even more powerful. The tiny red fawn wandered forward into the forest and stared in wonder at the many trees within, most shaped like various people and creatures. Within each tree was a tiny glowing creature. Some were cats, others dogs, others bears, fish, or birds. Each was a different color, and each lit up the place in a dazzling array of lights. However, unlike Éowyn, all were sleeping, cuddled snugly within their trees' hollows. Something else struck Éowyn as strange. Behind each tree shaped like a human was a tree shaped like a dragon. They were attached to each other at the back and seemed to grow into one another naturally. Curious, Éowyn trotted back to her own tree and walked to the other side of it. Indeed, behind the tree in the shape of her dragon form was one in the shape of her human form, complete with flowing brown hair cascading down her chest made from willow leaves. She stared in wonder. "Where am I?" she wondered. "What could this possibly mean?" A soft bird call directed her attention to the top of the tree. There sat a fully grown phoenix, its blazing white eyes staring directly at her. A soft sound rose in Éowyn's throat as she gazed at the bird. As she tried to speak, instead a soft tune emanated from her throat. She sang a simple melody, one that seemed to tell the phoenix all it needed to know. It nodded and took off. Éowyn followed, her mind a-riff with questions. The phoenix flew past the person-shaped tree after tree, with the tiny fawn trotting closely behind. A woman's voice grew louder and louder as they moved. She was singing a beautiful song with words Éowyn couldn't identify, but the voice felt so comforting, so understanding, that she didn't really care. Somehow, despite the strangeness of it all, everything just felt so right. The trees were getting smaller and smaller, the people and dragons depicted in them younger and younger, until finally they were only newborn babies and small sprouting seedlings. The phoenix stopped and flew directly above, disappearing into the floating canopy pierced by a beam of sunlight, which fell upon a tiny meadow, spotlighting it. A woman was there. Éowyn's breath caught in her throat. She was a beautiful creature, celestial in her appearance and ethereal in her movements. She appeared as human, a long white dress decking her thin limbs and ending as if fading into nothingness. Long deer horns floated gently above her head as if a crown. And her face? Her face contained all the beauty of the world, yet was the caring one of a mother. Her long opal hair whipped in an intangible wind, an aurora of color dancing near its tips. Her skin was a soft peach and full of life. She sat down, her hands cupped. Within them was a tiny seed. Whispering the words of her song, she summoned drops of blood upon her fingertips and sent them into the seed. With her thumb, she dug into the ground and placed the seed within, patting the dirt over it with a gentle smile. Her eyes were obscured by white light so that Éowyn could not easily read them, but she could tell the woman was now looking directly at her. "Éowyn," she said. Her song ended. Eowyn stepped back, her throat choked up. She couldn't say anything. "Do not be afraid. I have called you here for a reason." Eowyn shivered. The woman's voice resounded with power, and held layers of deepness to it that made her sound like the wisest creature in creation. "I have been guiding you throughout your journey, as I am sure you have noticed." She gave a large grin. A phoenix call echoed in the distance. "That was you?" Eowyn finally spoke. She thought back to all the times a phoenix had appeared to her. The woman nodded. She patted the ground beside her. Taking wobbling steps, Eowyn sat there and looked up at the motherly woman. "I am known by many names. The people you are with now refer to me as the gardener, as I am the keeper of this forest. I plant all of the trees and help them to grow," she said, patting the little mound of dirt before her. "This one will be named Farrowyn. He will grow to be a stained glass window artist, and then a teacher in his older years. He will marry a lady from across the sea, and together they will have a daughter named Rena." She giggled. "But I'm getting ahead of myself. Her seed is not yet planted." Eowyn's eyes widened in wonder. "Are you saying that all of these trees are people?" The woman gave a slow nod. "This is the garden of all living things. It is the outskirts of the realm of souls. Every tree you see here contains a soul, which inhabits the body and controls their physical form in what you would consider the real world." Eowyn looked down at her fawn body. "So that means this is my soul?" She gave a few panicked breaths as she leapt to her hooves. The gardener gave a chuckle. "Eowyn, that is you. A body is only a vessel for the soul." She stood up, not seeming to mind the stray pieces of dirt on her dress. "It seems your soul is that of a deer at the moment. You'll find that as you grow and change, your soul will as well. You may be a tiger or a wolf someday, depending on what flowing path your life leads you." "Who are you?" Eowyn asked. The woman turned to look down at the tiny fawn. "Who do you think I am?" Eowyn paused. She knew, yet she didn't want to admit it. "You are Arya." Arya smiled. "Follow me," she said, her body shifting before Eowyn's very eyes into that of a white deer, with horns floating above her head. She leapt and bounded through the forest with ease, escorting the fawn behind her like a mother with her babe. The turquoise-green grass billowed in waves before the garden's keeper and the little soul. The forest was so peaceful and beautiful, Eowyn's heart seemed to soar like it did when she flew. Every little rock and tree felt like it had been crafted with such care and joy. Eowyn felt like all of her worries had melted off of her. All that existed was her, this forest, and the gardener. But the joy of one who still lives cannot last. Arya stopped before Eowyn's tree. Eowyn skittered to a stop behind her. Little drops of water dripped onto her red nose. Arya examined the tree, looking from Eowyn's human form to her dragon form. "I remember planting your seed, as I do with them all. You were created for great things, to bring life and to bring liberation." "Arya?" Eowyn said. "I don't understand. Are you truly the creator of all things, as Gerald claims? Who is Canaan? Why do all of the human trees here have dragons attached to them?" Arya moved her head slightly. "I did indeed create all things of this world, including Canaan. He was a follower of mine, one of my trusted servants and messengers. But he decided he wanted to be a god as well, one even greater than I. Thus, he and his spirits broke away from my light and sought to take over the earth." Eowyn was silent, mulling over the words. As for the last question, the deer's white eyes bore into Eowyn's. "Eowyn, humans and dragons have always been one and the same." Eowyn froze. "What?" Arya lowered her head to Eowyn's height. She gave a slow nod. That can't... How can that be true?" Eowyn cried. "What do you even mean?" "Humans and dragons are of the same species. They were always intended that way. Every human can morph into a dragon, and every dragon can turn into a human. The terms dragon and human only exist to label the two different forms your kind can take." Eowyn still looked extremely confused. Arya gave another soft smile. You are all called shifters, the only species on the earth that can change between forms without the use of magic. All humans are dragons, and all dragons are humans. Then, why can't we change on a whim? Why do dragons hate humans? Why are they killing us if we are the same people? Arya gave a long sigh and closed her eyes. Look at your tree. What do you notice? Eowyn examined the tree. She noticed for the first time a small tunnel between the two forms which connected the cavities in the human chest and the dragon chest. That is how shifters change forms. Their souls travel from one side of their tree to the other, Arya said. Now what else do you notice? A long golden vine is covering my tree, Eowyn said, pointing out what she saw. It looked like it had burst from a rift in the ground and was squeezing tightly against the soft wood with its long thorns. Yes, that is the work of Canaan. Look, see how it is blocking the tunnel between your forms. Because of this vine, you cannot change forms like shifters are made to, Arya said. Instead, Lyriel had to force Canaan to let your soul pass through when she originally transformed you. But now, the vines are strengthening. The only way to turn back to human is to get rid of them. Eowyn stepped back from the vines, a sudden chill running down her spine. How do I get rid of them? Arya sat down, her long deer legs folding up under her and her soft belly touching the turquoise grass. They spawned because you pledged yourself to Canaan. The spell you used, the one that blinded the dragons that were chasing you in the castle, made them even stronger. She pressed her forehead against the tree and closed her eyes. To break them, you must become my follower, and give me your approval to shatter them. Only then will you be able to be at your full potential. Only then will you be able to save your kingdom and bring it back to its true former glory. Eowyn could feel the vines squeezing at her, the sharp spikes digging into her skin and slowly draining her of life. She looked up at Arya, tears dripping down her red cheeks. I really can't save them, she asked. My people. I can stop the horrible things happening to them? Arya nodded. I will help you every step of the way, as I have with Kotuya and his people, who have put their lives into my hands. As such, I protect them and guide them. The gardener's voice grew deep, gaining the same tone it had while talking about the small seed. Eowyn, she was born to be a leader, to take off the shroud of Canaan's darkness from the land and bring light back to her people, to show them what they are made for, who they truly are. Eowyn, the queen of dragons and the queen of humans. Eowyn, the daughter of Arya. Eowyn wept. I didn't think I could ever do that. I'm not strong enough. I'm just a young girl, she said between sobs. Arya turned back into her human form and swept up the fawn into a big hug. A hug that felt more real than any she'd had before. Eowyn didn't remember Lyriel ever hugging her. I will always be there. You only have to call. My power is yours to wield. You cannot do it alone, and that is why I am offering you my love. Images flashed in Eowyn's mind as she weighed her decision. The look on Geralt's face when she had mentioned her heritage, the gasps and expressions of fear when his people found out, the fact that Cerubia had tried to kill him to turn her back, and most of all, Eowyn thought back to her father. His room was always separate from Mother's. He never touched her, save for public appearances. Whenever he played with Eowyn, if Lyriel passed by, he looked up in terror. Eowyn had always thought this was normal. It was how things had always been. Who was Lyriel, really? What had she been planning? Why would Eowyn want to follow in the footsteps of one she realized she knew nothing about? Arya felt so genuine. She felt like a true caretaker, like she actually understood Eowyn's thoughts and feelings. She felt like her father. I wish to be your follower, Eowyn breathed, putting her head on Arya's shoulder. And I wish to be your gardener. Arya pointed her face to the sky. The floating canopy of leaves opened up, a beam of light illuminating Eowyn's tree. The golden vines hissed and cracked, shattering upon touching the light. The tree glowed with holy radiance. Go now, back into the world. Your soul cannot stay apart from your body for too long when you are still living. She swept her arms upward, placing the tiny fawn back into the crevice in the wooden dragon's chest. But what about Mother? Queen Lyriel? What happened to her? Why did she believe in Canaan? Did she really choose to do those horrible things Kotuya was talking about? Aelwyn pleaded. A pained look crossed Arya's face. She looked down. Your mother is not who you think she is, Aelwyn. Neither are the people of your kingdom. Kotuya's father will explain to you the true reality surrounding the person who raised you. Wait! I don't want to go! Goodbye, Aelwyn. I will see you again soon. Tree branches closed in around the crevice. Aelwyn suddenly felt very sleepy. I don't want to leave you. Once you return back to the mortal realm, you will be able to turn back into a human. You are a shifter now, dear one. I am so proud. Please. Aelwyn's eyes closed, and blackness enveloped her.